Hi everyone, I'm Sreekala and with me is Vandana Sudheesh and along with us is the gorgeous lady, Sreekala Ganguly. We call her it, so we welcome her to our show and she needs no introduction and one time when Vandana was unable to join me, that time it was there with me to host the show. So more than a guest, she's a what do you say, a member, a part and parcel of our program. So welcome.
Welcome, Sitadi. Welcome to our show. We are so glad to have you.
Sreekala, Vandana, this feels like a very personal, very warm across the table. Uh, just a chat between the three of us. I am ecstatic to be here with both of you tonight. You know that both of you are very, very special to me. Very, very special.
Thank you.
Yes. So for our audience, I need to tell who she is. Ikshita Ganguly describes herself as a business consultant at Sunrise and White, from travel writer from Heritage and art enthusiast at Sunset. Ikshita writes because she must. Her poems have been published in several national and international e-science and anthologies. She is also one of the main characters of poetry film Kolkata Cocktail. She has two independent compilations of poems of love, longing, and random conflict, and Rooted India 75 and We the People. So this one, Rooted India 75 and We the People, is a book which was recently launched. And to tell about Kolkata Cocktail, it's not an awesome poetry film. The participants who are there, I have heard it. If you people log on to motivationalstrips.com, you can find it out there. It's already uploaded, and you all can have a look, and you all can understand what it is and what her poetry is. So what she says is poetry. She should write poetry because it's a must. So that's so what you say inspiring. The word, yeah, I must write. If I have some decent or I have some like what you say things to fulfill. I need to encourage people. I need to inspire people. That's the reason it's right. Am I true?
Sri, what can I say? I have to write because if I don't write, that there comes a time if I don't write and I feel that something's growing, that some idea is growing, I really feel sick. So I just have to write. Um, it's a feeling of uh, I don't know. The idea must take shape. It must be birthed. I think that is the way I like to put it. Sometimes poetry gets born on its own, and we are just vehicles of birth. Because these beautiful, and all poetry is beautiful, and these beautiful words just need to go out there from the universe to the universe, and we are you, me, Vandana, everybody who writes are just blessed vehicles. So it must be birth, and therefore it must come out. And so I feel like I must write.
Wow.
You must write and we must read it because there is within every point which you write, there is a theme or a moral which we have to imbibe in our life. So we must write and we must read. So simple as that.
Yes, we must read, absolutely. Otherwise, what are we writing for if it is not read? We must read, absolutely.
Yes, Vandana. Now you can start.
Yeah. I'm going to shoot question.
Please.
Okay. So, can you describe? I mean, what are your passions other than poetry writing?
Okay, so life is a passion. I think the most important thing is that poetry of words is one kind of poetry, but how you live life is another kind of poetry. And the art of living is also poetry in itself, which is why I describe myself as a business consultant. I used to be a hotelier for years. 20 years of my life was corporate life. And then I've taken on this role of business consultant, and I do consult a ceramic unit very actively. So, which is why I say I'm a business consultant when the sun rises at sunrise for the whole day, and when the sun sets, I pursue my other passion. So, poetry, of course, is one very, very major passion. But other than poetry, I'm a heritage enthusiast and I'm an art enthusiast. So I'm part of a heritage group in Calcutta called the Calcutta Heritage Collective. And we do some wonderful heritage awareness programs together, like a heritage quiz for children, like beautiful heritage walks. I'm right now the co-editor of the Calcutta Heritage Collective journal. So there's a lot of heritage related work that we do as part of CHC. So that is another huge passion of mine, heritage. And where art is concerned, poetry is art as well. It's an art form. And certainly there's performance poetry, so there's performing art. But also art, craft, artisanship, all of it is mine. I love it. I love anything which is beautiful and aesthetic.
Wow. And she reciting the poems is, you know, I will say it's so soothing and mind blowing. I think I got an inspiration from you too, because I have a plan to release my first spoken poetry. So you are one of my inspiration, I will say, because you read poems so beautifully and you recite it so beautifully. Thank you.
I have heard it the other day how she recites, how Vandana recites.
Yes.
Superb.
Thank you, Vandana. You must take out your book. A book is like a baby, and it is as beautiful and it is as painful, but it is such a beautiful gift that you gift yourself and the world. So I will definitely look forward to Vandana's book, and I know Sreekala is also coming out with her book, and I really look forward to that as well.
It's already out in the market.
Okay, so congratulations, just born. Your baby is just born.
Second
And mine is
second baby.
Yeah, your second baby, and my second baby is a few days older than yours.
And third baby is still here.
Yeah, oh wow.
Third baby is third, and maybe within 3 to 4
All
months.
our book baby.
For third baby
Wow.
will come out.
Wow. I must start working on my third baby too.
And she decided around in Bengali. I have heard so many times the way how she decides it. I just absolutely talking in her eyes and the way how she decides. Wow, I am unable to understand the language also. I would just be keeping my right eyes on like that. This is the way how much
She recites with a very pleasant face, with a smiling face. That is the main thing, what is outstanding.
Poetry is so beautiful. How can one anyway not have a smiling face? Poetry brings, it touches the core, it touches one's heart. So it is beautiful. And to be able to read beautiful poetry is such a beautiful gift. So how can one not smile when one reads poetry? I don't know.
No, that smile and the way how you recite, no, that makes us like feel proud. Just when you recited one poem about Rabindranath Tagore, wow, I must say that some words I could understand, but that feel, the feel of patriotism or the respect towards him, it's really very well in that recitation. That makes something different.
It's a pleasure. It's an absolute pleasure. It's an absolute pleasure to read all your poetry. I wish I could read all of them out, but you can't recite all of them. But it's such a pleasure to read one or two of each one of your poems. Especially, there's so many wonderful poets out there today. And thanks to social media, especially because all of us can read each other so easily, apart from our books. Other than our books, also, all of us who belong to poetry groups, Motivational Strips is a wonderful family feeling. Other poetry groups, everybody, and there's so many interest poetry groups. So it's absolutely wonderful to read such beautiful poetry.
So, and so it's just a question where many will find out like, okay, there is one answer and there are many answers. So the question is, who is your inspiration to come into the field of poetry? Is there any person?
So there are so many people, I must say, who I'm very, very grateful to. But if there's one person that I have been actually a set of poets. I think I first started reading Tagore, as we all do. You can't be a Bengali and not read Tagore, but then you can't be an Indian and not read Tagore. But
Yes.
of course, we have the privilege of reading Tagore in the original, right? We read Tagore in Bangla, and we start reading Rabindranath Tagore as part of our school text, as part of our Bengali curriculum. So he's such an inspirational figure, and he's so all pervasive, and he's spiritual. See, all poetry is spiritual, but Tagore is not just a poet. He's also, in a way, he's a sant, he's a saint. His philosophy is so deep that you can't not be touched by it, because Tagore for us is in every, I mean, those of us who are brought up on Tagore, I think he's there in all aspects of our life. So one is Tagore. The two other Bengali poets I'm extremely indebted to and very, very fond of are Jibanananda Das and Kazi Nazrul Islam. So these are the troika, as I call it, Tagore, Nazrul, and Jibanananda Das. I have been, I mean, it was my Bengali curriculum had them. So I've had the pleasure of reading, analyzing, being taught, but also reveling in it. There are many, many other contemporary, hugely wonderful Bengali poets, but I think I remain indebted to them. Then, of course, personally, I'm not even talking about literature stuff like Wordsworth or Shelley or romantic poets, but Eliot, T.S. Eliot. The love song of Alfred Prufrock, I think, is something that inspired me completely. I mean, you're in a trance with that kind of poetry. And that's what happened to me. Eliot happened to me after that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the gentleman
Wow.
for whom I started writing, and the gentleman to whom my first book is dedicated, is Mr. Vikram Seth. I am a mad fan of Vikram Seth. I'm absolutely crazy about him and his poetry. I read The Golden Gate, I think, when I was a teenager, and I think it was just absolutely wow. The whole book is written in the form of sonnets, but it's not just The Golden Gate. Uh, if you've read The Suitable Boy, even that is, of course, a prose, but then it has, they start talking in poetry. The Chatterjee family of Suitable Boy starts talking in poetry, and I've read most of Vikram Seth's poetry books. So as a contemporary poet, he is. I have mad stories. I first started writing poetry in a blue notebook, and every poem was dedicated to my dearly beloved, and that was Vikram Seth. So obviously, when my first book came out, that book had to be dedicated to Vikram Seth. So there you are. These are poets who inspired me completely.
Yes, yes. So that journey is really wonderful. And
Wonderful.
most of the people whom we have interviewed, many Arundhati Mukherjee ma'am, Sugandha Mukherjee ma'am, everybody, not even a single person has forgotten to take the name of Rabindranath Tagore. So this is how a person in Kolkata or Bengal, in your area is related to Rabindranath Tagore. It's more like what you say, a feeling, the devotion towards a god. Really, you can see
He's
that.
God.
Yeah.
For us, he's God.
Yes.
We are spiritually, philosophically, poetically, in every core of our being, I think to us, he's the most important god. So I'll give you a very simple example. You know, Durga Puja is coming. Same thing as Navratri, right? Navratri is the rest of
Yeah,
the country.
Navratri.
And yeah, in Bengali we call it Devi Pokho, Devi Paksh, right?
Okay.
So so in a very joking, half serious manner, Tagore's birthday and Tagore's death anniversary are celebrated, right? Pochishe Boishak is Tagore's birthday, and then 22 Shravan in Bengali. So one is in April, the other is in May. So Pochishe Boishak and 22 Shravan, and at least the Pochishe Boishak period, the birthday period, period in a sense is one day, but you know there's so many celebrations. We call it Kobi Pokho. So Kobi as in Kavi Paksh. So Devi Paksh and Kavi Paksh. Yeah. So it's a very light, humorous way of putting it, but of course hugely humorous. But there is a bit of truth in there as well, because to us Tagore is God. He's all pervasive. His philosophy, his poetry is philosophy, and that's, you know, he's just God. That's how important it was.
Everyone. And whomever recites a poem on him is definitely will carry that same, what do you say, that passion, devotion, everything. So it's
True.
very wonderful to listen. Yes, Vandana.
Yeah. Now, would you like to name a few authors? It can be older poets, new poets, whom you love to read.
So apart from Tagore, Jibanananda Das and Kazi Nazrul and Eliot, of course, I would say I'm a huge fan of Pablo Neruda. Pablo Neruda is another huge, important poet in my life. I just love the whole mellifluous terminology in that. Amongst the contemporary poets, well, I mean, we are spoiled for choice, right? There are so many of us. I love to read Jihu. I love to read Sreekala's poem. I love to read Sudheesh's poem. I love to read, Dr. Santosh Bakaya, Dr. Ampat Koshi. There's so many very important poets. Melissa Begley's poems. There are Lillian Wu's poems. There are Barbara Ma'am's poems, Corina's poems. There's so many. I mean, I love reading them. June Bora, he's been writing some wonderful poetry.
Yes.
Khemlal sir, of course.
Rajni Mula.
Yeah, absolutely. Rajni Mula. Deepan Preet, such a young girl.
Yes.
Such a young girl.
She
Some wonderful
has
poetry out
very,
there.
like, what do you say? She's very passionate. And each and every time.
Absolutely.
Yes, she calls me Masi. So it's like
She
a
is that
mother.
young. Totally.
Yeah. So it's a, what do you say, motherly feel when we guide her, when we speak to her, and she gives the same respect, and she, what do you say, carries forward each and every day. It's not a single day she will sit simply without writing a poem. So that's a passion what she has.
Yeah. So
And not the
totally.
other thing, either a Sino or other poem, different. She tries different varieties.
She's trying.
Short one,
She's
big
trying
one.
her best. Yeah,
Mm.
for her book also, she had tried her best.
Yeah, and that's what counts. What counts is the fact that you need to keep on, I always say that you keep writing. And I always say
Yes.
there's nothing called good poetry, I mean, or bad poetry. Poetry is a language of the soul. So
Yes.
what I may like, you may not like, because what resonates with me may not resonate with you. And time will tell. And actually, if it doesn't tell also, it doesn't matter. Because to me, poetry is a very individual journey. It's a very individual, like that's why I said I write because I must write. And I think poetry is an individual journey for all of us at many levels. We really write because we have to say that, we have to put it out. So just keep writing. Just keep writing.
That's great.
Don't worry about competitions and who says it's good and how many likes you get. That is the least important thing.
Definitely. Yes. Great. It's like we have to write. Now many of them just look for or they will complain. I'm not getting likes.
Yeah.
I'm not
Yeah.
getting comments. We are not writing for that.
Yeah. Actually, it's very nice to be acknowledged. It's always lovely to be appreciated, and it's very nice to be acknowledged.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
but I always say that these are byproducts. The main thing is that you keep writing.
Yes.
That's the most important thing. Because
Yes.
for years, Vandana and Sreekala, I have, like I said, I used to have this notebook, and every poem was written to Vikram Seth. And there are so many poems that I have written all my life, because I don't remember when I started writing. I've written all my life. So I've written at the back of, when I was in school or college or university, the back of notebooks. I've been to a restaurant, written on a tissue paper so many times. And I don't have those poems. I don't remember those poems. They're lost. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Not every poem needs to go onto Facebook and get liked or whatever. Because it's the joy of writing that is most important. And I always say that, and I bow my head to every acknowledgement and every endorsement and every appreciation. Of course, I bow my head to all of that, but I'm just saying the joy of writing is really the main joy.
Yes. Yes. So you have said it. You have said everything about that. Clean. Sreekala?
So can we hear about your new book? Because the name itself says something about our own country, India. So
Yeah.
I would like to hear more from you. Please, I've read the forward. It's so wonderful. Speaks a lot about your book, and there are a few reviews also. Even that too, short and crisp, very nicely written. And now I would like to hear it from you.
I would like to hear your reviews, both of your reviews about my book. So I'm looking forward to both Vandana's
My
review.
forward will come in MS. Once I complete reading, my
Yes.
review will come in MS itself.
I look forward to that, darling. Totally.
Sure.
And Vandana's also. But yes, something about the book. Now,
Yes.
India has just stepped into her 75th year. And for some time, Sreekala, Vandana, this book it wasn't planned. Both of you know that I write poetry at random. But this book just wasn't planned. I think this book just happened. It just happened on its own. So it was the 70. I knew sometime we all knew that it was the 75th year that we were going to be stepping into, and there was this whole thoughts and emotions about our country, about India, and this is how the book emerged. Because of late, whatever I was writing, whatever topic I was writing, I did mention to you that I write because I must write, and I felt there were emotions about my country, and those are really those emotions came out in the form of poetry. So with your permission, if I may read a bit from the forward.
Yes,
Definitely. Let me read a bit from the forward.
Yes.
Yeah.
We would love to hear it.
So, India 75 and we, its people. History and its milestones, forever evolving. A nation made and in the making. India, that is Bharat, turns 75. This ancient mystical land with a relatively new nationhood. Now, I'll just explain this. This ancient mystical land with a relatively new nationhood, because India is a very old civilization, right? India goes back centuries, and we've had so many influences, right? We had such a conglomeration of different civilizations also. The original civilization here, the Aryan civilization, the invasions that has invaded, and how we've just absorbed and accumulated and taken the best and the worst and become one homogeneous unit. And that is the beauty of Indian civilization. But when I say we have turned 75, this is obviously the 75th year of freedom from the last external domination, which is the British domination. So And what is very important to understand is that we are a relatively new nation, because before that, what were we? We were a conglomeration of princely states or feudal states. We were not one India with
Yeah.
one flag. The different princely states and the different zamindari outfits had their different flags and different armies and different currencies. But no, today we as a nation, we are one unit with one flag and one currency, and we are a nation. Although India, that is Bharat, is a union of states. That's how our constitution starts. So we are a democratic federal republic. So democracy, as we all know, is for the people, by the people, of the people. When we talk in terms of federal, it's a confederation, which is very important to acknowledge that we are not exactly one homogeneous. We are a homogeneous nation, but we are a confederation of states. The federal structure is extremely important, and then we are a republic. Republic is the most important thing over here, because republic is the power lies with the people, and we elect our representatives to govern us or to administer the country. But who's the ruler? You are Sreekala, you are Vandana, I am. We the people. And out of this democratic federal republic, and the importance of we the people, I think arose my book, because these were natural thoughts when I was thinking in terms of the 75 years of our independence. And why is it we the people? Because you know what? It doesn't matter which state you belong to, which state I belong to. It doesn't matter what your mother tongue is or what my mother tongue is. It doesn't matter about anything else. But really, what matters is the fact that the power lies with all of us. The power lies with all of us. And it doesn't matter what political ideology you belong to, what political ideology I belong to. The fact is that it's not a them versus us. The power is with us, and therefore whoever we elect will come from us. So the rootedness and the connect to our soil, our country, our India is what is most important. And what we do for the nation, what we do for the country, because out how we build ourselves up, how I build myself up, how you build yourself up or your children up, how you bring them up, are we worthy citizens? Because if you are nice and I am nice and everybody else becomes nicer, better, more educated, more alert, then you know what, as a nation we will improve. And my feeling was that uh, it's it's only 75 years, right? It's our grandparents who fought for our independence. This book is dedicated to my grandfather because he lived through independence. So our
Oh,
grandparents fought for independence, right? And we've been brought up by them. And they did so much. They did so much. They fought the freedom battle. They were jailed. They gave up their zamindari titles. They did so much. What are we doing for our country? Are we just relegating it to our political system and saying, okay, they are going to do it? Or do we have a role to play? From that thought emanated my book. So therefore, rooted, because we are rooted to the soil, India 75, and we the people.
wow.
Yes, and that's true. The first few pages when I read, I was so eager to like so happy that the book is dedicated to her grandfather, who was a freedom fighter too. So everyone, it's my personal opinion, which I would love to give you. It's available in Kindle format because nowadays, if you are unable to purchase from an outside store, it's available in Kindle store, Amazon Kindle, and it merely costs 45 rupees, which is not a huge amount for your pocket, but the knowledge, whatever experience we can read through that is vast. So it's the time you can purchase her book, read her book, and definitely each and every Indian, they're going to like this. And people from the other countries, when they want to know about our heritage, yes, I'm so sure that they will also love your book.
And one
Thank
more
you,
thing,
Sreekala.
I think it was more lovely to hear you recite your poem and you explain it rather than reading, by ourselves. It is so, I don't know what to say. I was just keep hearing it, and I wish you continue that. It was such
Thank
amazing.
you. Thank you. Yeah, I'll read two poems from my book, if I may.
Yes.
I'll read the first poem and the last poem from this book. And yes, this book, as she mentioned, this book is dedicated to my grandfather, Maharaj Kumar Saurish Chandra Rai of Nadia. Now, Nadia was a largish zamindari estate in West Bengal. 80% of that is now gone to Bangladesh, 20% remains, because as we know that 80% of what was Bengal, the Shonar Bangla that we talk of, the Bengal that actually fought for our freedom, has 80% is no longer with us. It went to Pakistan and then later on became Bangladesh, of course. Now, my grandfather was one person who was in his early 20s when independence happened. And of course, he lost his zamindari title, he lost his sense of identity. Um, but those were days where they gave up everything for a cause, and that is what is important. And all my life, and I had him for 24 years of my life. He passed on in 1996. So 47 was independent. 1996, he passed on, and I have always seen him wearing khadi, khadar, and no gold or jewelry or anything like that. So Swadeshi was a thought process. It was a way of life, and simplicity was what was embraced uh, by Gandhiji, and was followed. I've seen my grandfather and his generation live every minute of their lives. They didn't need fancy titles. So, they've given up their title, and there's a Supreme Court ruling regarding that. And they never needed. He was addressed as Baba or Father by the people, and he's always followed this. And my mother, his daughter, also follows that. They believe in the simple Swadeshi way of life, the thought process, because they have dedicated it to the altar of the nation. So that was my grandfather, and that was his teaching. My mother certainly follows it, and I hope in some measure I do as well. The first poem is, well, the book is for him, but the first poem is absolutely for him. It's called The Nation That You Are or Have Become. I often wonder how time changes. Actually, it flies on wings unknown and slips like sand grains from the fist. Where were we when it was flying, slipping? And change is the only thing real. How it must have been from my grandfather when he was 14 and listening to Gandhi and Bose on the radio. And how it must have been at 22 and witness the nation being born, and in the process, he losing so much. Yet, holding on to hope, intent, fulfillment, for the nation was born, and handing over to us independence, freedom, responsibility, a spirit to uphold. And this nation travels in time, travels in ideology, travels. Time flies on the wings of the unknown, and sand grains slips from the hand. We the people, we the nation, juxtaposition at the crossroad of time.
So that was a wonderful recitation from our Ikshita. And one more, the last poem of hers from her book. We would love to hear that.
Yes. Okay. So here's the last poem from this book. This is called A Prayer. How beautiful it is when colors stand together yet distinct. How beautiful it is when colors stand together, yet distinct. The soft violet, the deep indigo, the bright red, how it lights up the sky, and yet each color holds on to its own, effervescent, ethereal, eternal. And may this nation forever stand together, heads held high, hands held together, a grand rainbow of people celebrating their diversity, celebrating their distinctiveness, celebrating their uniqueness, yet stronger in its unity. And may this nation forever stand together, heads held high, hands held together, a grand rainbow of people celebrating their diversity, celebrating their distinctiveness, celebrating their uniqueness, yet stronger in its unity. Jaya, 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 Jaya Hai.
It's like what I say, goosebumps. Being an Indian, if you won't get that goosebumps, then so wonderful. The thought that everyone should stay together, hands held, all people, just like a rainbow that shows that different colors. People, they have different attitudes, different kind of the way how they behave or how they contribute. Everything different, but we are unique in one thing. That one thing is we all will be there for our nation. So that what do you say? देश के लिए कुछ भी करेंगे वो वाला feeling. So same feel. We are ready to do anything for our nation. We are there together, irrespective of color, caste, creed. So that wonderful message. Yeah. Superb ending for the book. Superb ending for the book. I'm yet to read because I have only gone through the reviews. So the reviews were very wonderful, which has given a what do you say sum up of what is there inside. So once I complete reading, then you can see my review in MS. It's for sure.
I look forward. I look forward.
And here our viewers, they would love to hear some advices from you because you're a senior poet. So
Sri, I think the whole our show together today, and primarily because again it doesn't feel like a show, it really feels like we're sitting across the table and chatting because we are three poetry sisters. We each of us call each other poetry sister. We are all poetry sisters. So this whole show has been about advising, and the most important thing is that keep writing, keep talking to us through the words that flow from you. Keep talking to the world. It doesn't matter who will read or which one of your word will get picked up by whom, but just keep writing. That has always been the whole point. If I come into this book, I didn't plan on this book at all. If beginning of the year, I didn't know that this book is going to come about. I was thinking about what it means to be independent for 75 years. And as you very beautifully said it, I've always considered India to be a very unique experiment, unlike other nations. Other nations are homogeneous. They have one religion, they have one kind of community, but India is such a beautiful experiment because the Indian civilization is a very ancient. It has many features of many types of communities with many invasions, British one being the most recent. But also indigenously, we are not, the people from the east and the people from the west and people from the north and people from the south is very different from each other. But together, I think we become very rich because if we learn from each other and absorb each other, only if we respect each other. We cannot override anyone. We have to respect each one's distinctiveness, right? Only then we will all collaborate. Otherwise, if one is made to feel smaller than the other, why would anyone want to collaborate? So each one of us We'll have to be respectful towards one another. And we are a unique experiment of a rainbow of caste, creed, community, religion. So the challenge, I will say, and the challenge to us, because like I said, the power lies with us. Politicians are just elected from us. They're our representatives. The challenge is how to make ourselves more Indian than any of our little distinctiveness. And that is my prayer, that let us all work towards being more Indian than any other thing, while respecting each one's distinctiveness and collaborating with each one's distinctiveness. Because you know what, Sreekala, and this is the ultimate message, love is so much more important than divisiveness or hate. Love unites. So I will always talk of the message of love and the message of humanism. And if not India, India with its huge culture, of humanitarianism and huge culture of absorbing all kinds of cultures, if not India, then who can lead the world in this beautiful, unique experiment of collaboration?
Yes, this wonderful collaboration and this wonderful message of love, what we are speaking about here, is widely found in MS. Yes, it starts from home, it starts from our own community, and then it spreads across throughout the country and then globe. So here, when we are able to visualize the whole globe over there in MS as poets, most of them from across the globe, we can see them and we love each other. And that love, it's a what do you say, perfect bondage, which makes us to move forward, move together, and bring our world of poetry a bit more higher than anything else.
Vasudeva Kutumbakam, the whole
Yes,
world is one family, and
yes, that's
motivational
true.
strips is definitely proving that way. Vasudeva Kutumbakam, as we say it here in India. But yes, let the whole world be one family. We've always believed that in India, haven't we? Let the whole world be one family, and let poetry be the best religion.
Yes, yes, let it be. Amen. what do you बोलते हैं? क्या बोलते हैं? Amen.
Amen. Amen. Amen. Oh.
Yeah.
So once again, I would love to tell the readers that once you go through this poetry book, so you can find different, uh, what is it, that various themes which she has come across. It's a wonderful book. I must say this. So let's see how many of you are going to surprise Ipsita with your reviews in Amazon and even in MS. We were so happy because the chit chat goes on, and every time when she speaks, it gives some spark to us to write one more poetry, or the relation is something like that. So thank you so much for being with us in this show. And Vandana,
Thank you, Sreekala. Thank you,
Vandana,
Vandana.
thank you to you too, and all the best wishes for Vandana's new project of I think it's talking poetry, right?
Spoken poetry.
Spoken poetry. I'm so sorry. It's spoken poetry, and she's done it so wonderfully. I'm looking forward for that.
Thank you.
Congratulations to both of you.
And congratulations to you, Sreekala, for your newborn, just born, I think, one day.
Yes.
So,
2-3 days. I've got the book in
okay.
my hand before 2 days, and now it's in Amazon.in. The links are on, and even Pub also you can get it from there. And most probably by tomorrow, it will be available across the globe. So I'm so excited.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
It's dedicated to all the souls who love.
Love is the most important feeling. And congratulations to Vandana as well for her upcoming book. I really look forward to reading both your books. And yes, to all the viewers in MS, please, please, please buy by Rooted India 75. This is not just for people living in India. This is for people who belong to India in any capacity, whichever part of the world they are living in, and to everybody who loves India, everybody who's visited India and who's loved India, who plans to visit India, because there's a zillion trillion reasons to love India. Please do buy India, Rooted India 75 and We the People. This is a tribute to the nation.
Thank you. Thank you so much once again.
And thank you, both of you. Thank you, Sreekala. Thank you, Vandana.
Thank you.